All right, welcome to Monday. Get settled in here. I've got everything ready to go. So last week, trying to think of where I finished things off. I mean, I definitely got background music in. And yeah, now we're focusing on trying to resize the book based on the text. And part of the problem is now that I'm testing with multiple different books, depending on the length of the line of text, we end up running over the page size. So now I'm going to try to dynamically fix that. I already had a little bit of a prototype going of that. Let's see here. So on main, actually, so we have book scene, and that has the book script. Debug HUD. No, it doesn't have a book. Right, okay. I was going to see if I could test some of my logic without using the VR headset. I probably could. What if can I do this? No, I can't do that. I can probably do, let me see here. Where's the book? Book scene. If I just latch that onto the camera there, and I hit play, does it just like show up now? It doesn't. Hold on. Camera, and then how do I mute the music? There we go. That was just some test music I brought in to prove that things work, which it's really loud when running on local, but when I run on the headset, it's the correct volume. So let me think here. How do I think I do 3D? Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the book is there. Got ya. Okay, so I could probably, move it forward a little bit there, like that. And if I run it now, it's going to do the audio every time. It'll be a little annoying. No, it remembers it. Okay, so I could do that, and then on main, we got the test suite, right? And the test suite loads in files, so I could probably load in the text. How have I been doing that? Because I want to be able to just quickly, rapidly work on this without having to run it on the VR headset. And the only thing missing from me doing that, forgive me, catching up on some breakfast, is I just need some text. Alright, that's done. So, let's see. How was I doing this before? I mean, I could do on ready, just load it in. Oh, interesting, right. So that's book.gd. But we have our book scene. So we have page text. Okay, I could just... Right. Okay, if I remove this... I had left this in here for a reason. And I run it. Yeah, so there's the text coming in. I could bring it closer. Let's see here. Go a little closer, go a little more left. Save and run that. All right, that's good enough. Now, actually, yeah, this is actually pretty good. I may want to do this every time. Actually, this makes it very easy to test. Cool. Now the problem is, for this text, it's fine. Now in book.gd, here, let's close this. Close that. Let's like clean up some of this a little bit. I guess I can drag this down a little. Sound manager, I'll get back to. That's all fine. Debug HUD. Let's close that. I'm not using it too much these days. The debug HUD was much more valuable when I was having camera issues. But that's resolved. Okay, so this, I just have it as I initialize its positions and then I try to expand it by an amount. Yeah, but what am I going to base that off of? Main, I have that in here. Right, so for now, I was just trying to say, like, hey, can I just pass it a thing and will it work? So that should be pretty easy to test right now. But that is not going to work because so we're just calling it directly. Right, I am, let's comment this out. I don't need to do the second page. Let's run that again. I mean, it looks cool, but not needed. Although what I could do is, like, what happens if both pages are slightly different? So, see, the problem is here, this is OCR Hawker, which I only have one of those files. Okay, so how would I test this then? I mean, I guess for now, see, on text scan isn't going to show up. This won't get triggered right now as it is. Well, what I could do easily, just to get something working. I could just throw this down here. And let's just wait 5 seconds for the heck of it. And see what happens if I do 1.0. Or even just 10. Let's go crazy. So after 5 seconds, I should see it kind of blow up. And that didn't work because it's not the right book. So book is going to have to be a Did the wrong thing. Right. Book anchor. Left hand. Yeah, okay, fine. Let's just... This is hack code, so I'm not going to keep this around. XR origin slash... XR camera book. Now it should work. After like 5 seconds. Yep. Now, it didn't do the thing I wanted it to do, but let's at least dial it in a little bit. Let's go 1. Still way too much. Let's do 0.01. Go real small. Still like way too much, like 0.0. I mean, I know it's stretching the text, but I want to just see. Still like way too much. Why is that so big? Seems like I have like no control over it either. I don't know how big a float's allowed to be, but this should tell me something. That is so weird. All right, camera. All right, that is dumb. But at least we can do something. Okay, so let me just run it. And let me see if I can play with it. I believe I have control over things, right? So if I go to remote scene here, this might be hard to see. I'll have to drag it off screen, but I should be able to go to main, origin, go to the book, even go 3D here. Yeah, I can hide and show it. So on the book, if I do... Actually, that's a good question. Script. Yeah, we're doing left page, right page. So on the book, on remote. .25, I go 7. Okay, so I'm just changing that mesh size. So if I instead I did left page dot mesh dot size. Can I do that? What do we got here? So that's a mesh as a property. Because that seemed to work. If I did that by hand, like, that seems fine. But what is, how do I get to that? Property mesh. Okay. Here, let me kill this. And in fact, we want to be main book. I guess it's this. Right. So left page is going to be page 1. Right. Let's do var, I don't know, just call it mesh. Make it a string for the moment. And I'll just do left page dot mesh. So it is a mesh. I'm gonna do mesh dot does it not have surface get arrays, duplicate? What's that going to be? Set what? No description. All right, well. All right, I don't know what I'm doing. Great. It's always annoying to me when I can do something in the UI in Godot, but I can't figure out how to do it in code. I had this here, right? Yeah, scale the mesh, not the node. I mean, I had asked AI, I'd asked Claude what to do, but I didn't really trust Claude. So we're getting the left label. And then what's it saying? Get or create a unique mesh for this instance. So we duplicate it. Box mesh. Okay. So setting it as a box mesh. Got you. As box mesh. And then I wonder if now... Interesting. Okay. Okay. That makes sense now. Now I understand a little better. Because when you're setting a mesh, you pick the type. And this one's a box mesh. So in this scenario, and this is probably the issue I've had in the past, when I go to a property like that, I would expect to have access to size, but this autocomplete's not smart. It's not really like what properties are actually available on it. It's just saying like, hey, you've got a mesh instance, and according to the docs, these are the properties a mesh has. But a box mesh is obviously going to extend from the primitive mesh, and it's going to give you a bunch of extra things like size. So, gotcha. Yeah, size.x equals, can I do plus equals 1? And then if I go to main, Yeah. Let's just leave it at that. And then if we go back to book, we're going to ignore that anyway. And just do our own thing. So after a couple seconds, we should see... Wait, what? I did not tell it to do that. Was it 4.25? I thought it was. There we go. Actually, if I do that and I go look at it on the remote, what does it end up being then? But see, remote says it's still 4.25. Interesting. Well, anyway, it worked. I just don't know if that's the right way to do this. The other question is its position. So if I unclick that, so if I change its size, this also has to move. Like, that all seems kind of annoying and weird. I guess maybe I'll do it this way for now. Skeleton. Do I have this backed up, by the way, this code? Here's one thing here's one little trick I could do. Nope, wrong place. Take that out, and then let's do git checkout -b dynamic resize book. Do add those files. Dynamic resizing of book. Cool. There we go. Open pull request. Now what I can do, a little trick I can do, is if I drag that over and hit save, so that's the transform on the scene. That's the mesh instance 3D transform. So it should be mesh instance slash okay, transform, right. It's like why is my brain blanking on this? Maybe it's just because it's Monday. All right, so I should be able to do then left page dot transform, right? Dot x dot position. Translated. Returns a copy of this transform translated by the given offset. Vector 3, but as array. Right. Neg 1, 0, 0. In theory, if I run that, we should see it move bump left, I would think. And it should be a big gap, actually, a bigger gap. No. Did it move at all? I mean, well, I guess one thing I can do it on my own manually. Fine, let me see. If I go to remote again, go to the page, go all the way down. Its position would be like so that worked, but I guess the difference is this sizing. If I run that again. Yeah, fine. So the sizing's not the same. I don't know. I mean, this size says meters. I added a whole meter to it. I should be able to do left page dot transform equals .5. That might now work. But in the wrong direction. So it did work. Because it should be moving at half of the size that we increased it by. And yet somehow not. All right, let's go with a 10th. Do I still just end up with like the little bit of this crack in the middle? I do. Hey, that actually worked. Why is it a 10th? Okay, and then there's one last piece, which would be the... Okay, so well, let me see what the AI said. So its thought was... Don't make it local to scene for reasons. Set it as a duplicate for reasons. Then get it after you've duplicated it. AAB size X, so we get the label width, but that's the label. New width is the original box size width, and then we add some padding for reasons. I don't know why we would add the padding there. Calculate how much we're expanding. Expansion is new width minus the size. But new width is this. But that is a... Oh, getting the max of... So we subtract it from itself to get 0, basically. Part of the time, anyway. Or a negative number, since this could be bigger. So then this number could be larger than... Oh, I get it. Okay, I guess it could be slightly... So it could just be the padding. box mesh size X. And then the box is, why are you calling it box? The box is the instance passed in. Position X. Yeah, see, it should be left page dot position dot X. Okay. Yeah, minus equals. All right, so I didn't need to do that. Negative 0. Oh, minus equals 0.1. Let me confirm that works while I go back to reading. And then expand left box position. Divide 2, sure. Update boxes, sure. But what about the label? Label width. See, this is why I hate AI tools. This is why you really have to check them. Because it's saying it gets the left label. Okay, fine. It passes the label in. Sure. So then we get label width. I guess we use that for this new width. Yeah, that's not going to work because the label's got to move too. Because otherwise we end up with this. See now how it's centered. So that did work. So I do probably want... Fine, I'll do... Fine, we'll do that. Okay, so this worked. That's cool. Yeah, I was like, why do I need to do all this extra work? Didn't need to. Just needed to update the position X. So then I'll do var, I don't know, text. Now again, I'll set it to a string to start. We'll do left page dot. There's a get node. Template page text. Label 3D. What did it do? It just grabbed it. That's fine. And then we'll do... So it itself should have its own position, right? Right. Left dot... Or sorry, text dot position dot x minus equals, let's do 0.1 as well. Again, this is just prototype code for now. So that should bump out. We should still see about, nope, see it didn't, the gap didn't narrow. Let's do minus equals 1. Let's just move it hard. Let's just confirm we see something. No, it's not moving. This node might not be correct. We'll do on ready left text, and we'll do a label 3D equals left page dot, now fine, dollar page 1 slash on the off chance that maybe it just failed to get the node. We should just see the text like move. No, we're not. Let me turn that off. Because it stayed centered, right? All right, let's see if we go to that label. We'll do -2. Nothing. -4. +4. 4. So having no effect. Oh, I'm dumb. That's funny. So of course it's not going to work because this is the template. This doesn't actually get used. It's hidden. It's not visible. The issue then is going to be see on page text, we take all those labels. I'm not going to listen to what you say above. I already know what I need to do. New question. If you want to move a node in the X direction and move all of the nodes under it by the same amount, how do you do that? I think I know the answer. Or at least I think I know what the answer is going to look like. I think it's going to be something about local versus not local. This is like one of those little aspects I don't understand. Simple example. So all of its children are supposed to automatically move with it. If children aren't moving, if your children aren't moving with the parent, they may be using global coordinates. Okay, so what I probably need to do... What if I did... We'll just make a node. And let's rename this to text container. Why is this like selecting like that? Okay. I'll do Control C and I'll do Control V. There we go. And then what I'll do here, so I got some fun little things here. So clear existing page. Self.getChildren. I don't want to do that. See, now I don't have to worry about the template. I can get rid of this. Because what I can do is I can do self.getNode. See, this is the template there. Yeah, let's just change that to, and then we'll do onReady var text container. It's just a node. We'll do text container. And we'll do text container dot get children. And now we can just remove all children from there. So then what we should be able to do, yeah, so we clear existing. Where do we use the template label? Yeah, so we duplicate it. Self.addChild. We don't want to do self.addChild anymore. Now we want to do text container dot add child. And now if I run it, it should still work. Nothing changed, hopefully. We just have a container. That makes sense. I think the issue is that I need a container node around my large number of label 3D nodes. What node type should I use? Node 3D as a container. So if I do node 3D, let's delete that. Text container. This is going to be a node 3D. All right, let's try that again. Okay, text is back. Again, nothing should have changed. And things go wide. Cool. Now, we can go back to book. And now, in theory, yeah, I don't want that. I don't know why I went for that. I don't know why. I don't know. I guess, again, I'm going to call it Monday morning. Call that the text container. I mean, I could also just call it text, but because it is basically all the text right there. So now I should be able to move it, and then all the children should move with it. Oh, label 3D. It is a node 3D. Mode, node. Try that again. Nice. That worked. And now I wonder if it's negative minus equals 0.5. Move it half as much. So one thing needs to be moved a tenth. The other needs to be moved a half. Why, I do not know. Nice. Awesome. That looks perfect. So, we'll do our expansion amount. We'll do expansion amount divided by 10. We'll do expansion amount divided by 2. Get rid of all this code. And then I don't know. Like, I guess this probably keeps them in memory all the time. Probably not a big deal. Let me think. Also, I've got this whole, like, position. Which I guess is to keep track of it. But I don't think I need to. I don't think I need those. I could probably delete those, but let's leave them for the moment. And I'm not going to refactor this. I'm not going to pull this out. Like, let's just keep it for now. I mean, I guess we're doing this for both. Oh, interesting. I only had to do it for left page because are they literally the same thing? Yeah, because both of them got changed size, right? We didn't end up with like an awkward sizing, right? Yeah. So I just needed to mess with left page because left page and right page, I think because I copied them, they're linked somehow. I don't know if I like that. If I do that, again, I don't need to store these originals anyway, and even if I did, I only need one. You know what? Yeah, Agni, you ain't gonna need it. If I do need it, I'll bring it back later. Okay, so keep it simple. Simple code is easier to refactor later. You never want to overcomplicate it. Sometimes it can make you feel good to have more complicated code, but you're just asking for trouble later. All right, and if I do it for both, if I come back here, let's go crazy, right? I just want to see it. Yeah, and then they're going to pop out. Ooh, okay, so the one on the right didn't move. And that is because they're not linked or something. So that worked. Thanks. New question. So sometimes in Godot, I have two things that are mirrored. If I change one, the other changes as well. But sometimes for those pairs of nodes, changing one doesn't change the other. Why? And two nodes are sharing the same resource instance, hence having separate resource instances. Here's what's going on. When you change shared resource, when you duplicate a node or create it from the same resource, they often share the same underlying resource. So you duplicate them to make them independent. In the editor, when you duplicate a node in the editor, Godot shows a resource as shared with a small arrow icon next to it in the inspector. I don't see that. Oh, so I go here. Small arrow icon. I don't see that. In theory, I can delete this. If I copy it and then move it there, in theory, that causes them to be the same thing. Interesting. Okay, that was weird. Still didn't move. In the editor, with a small arrow icon next to it in the inspector. Well, I don't see that. In theory, because I have done this before, I should be able to do that. Call it page 2, yeah. And now if I run it again, what's going to happen? Close that. Let's go 3D on the book. And now let's run it again. Still not happening. Maybe because it's a child. All right, that's fine. I think that means it's just Fine. I'll do left text, right text. Maybe I'll figure that out later. Or somebody in chat can tip me off. Oh, yeah, by the way, forgot to pop out chat. Yeah, anyway, if anybody knows, let me know. But yeah, this is also why you like test religiously along the way, because you never know when something will work and then for whatever reason doesn't work for the other, and then later I might think it's for some other reason, but it's really the same reason. There, that worked. All right, so now I got to figure out the text size. As long as I can do that. See, I had that on here to just adjust the box sizes. And here I have it on... Did I do it on the page itself? No, where did I call that from? Oh, right, I just had it sleep. But I did have it here on, like, hey, when the chunk comes in, just do it. That's kind of a lazy thing, right? So, really, should it be OCR Manager? This is the tough thing, is like, I don't want to... So, game state I have doing things like add page, but it really shouldn't be the one doing it. Page text updated. I mean, in reality, it should be maybe be the page itself that resizes itself. Page text updated. Well, anyway, here's where we're adding the lines. So maybe I should do it from here. Page changed number. Yeah, okay, this is the current page. Is new page clear? Either way, we probably should right here say something like adjust page size. Make that a function. Adjust page size. And for that, sorry, let's just do void and pass. And then we'll take this, bring it down. Wait, what? What did I do there? There we go. Let's give a little gap there just before the for loop. So page text updated. Yeah, see, for this, we're only working on new lines. We're adding new lines to the page. I mean, I guess I could do it inside the for loop. Because right now, like, my instinct would be to pass the page in, and I'd have to, like, go through every line of the page. But really, we only have to go through the new lines. So maybe I don't do this here. We have our index, we get our line, here's our line. Then we duplicate and start adding things. So maybe I do it right here. So OCR Manager, we have our line object. We have our words, which is an array. Line text. Well, we call line text, which is going to give us... Fine. So we should be able to do line text dot length, maybe? Returns the number of characters in the string. Yeah, see, but that's going to be the number of characters. And the problem is, like, if you've got a lot of letter I's in a sentence, That'll make the sentence skinnier, actually. Yeah, well, hey, look, we have some text down here we can work with. So for instance, like you look at, like this line might have the same number of characters as this line. It's possible. Letters like W and M, like those are wider. They take up more space. There are some fonts that don't do that. So this is interesting because it's also font dependent. Eventually I want to give the user the option to pick their font. Right now I've chosen a hyper readable font. It's like an open source, super readable, where like zeros and like a zero is obviously, actually you can see this font's pretty good because the zero has a dot in the center, which makes it obvious that it's different from an O. But then lowercase o and uppercase o's can look very similar. So I chose as a default, a hyper readable font provided from I forget what the organization is, but it's an organization that cares a lot about visual impairment. And they've put out an open source font that anybody can use. So I grabbed that. It's supposed to be hyper readable, like very distinguishable. Every character has very clear, it's very much easier for your eyes to determine what's what. But different fonts are different, right? And I may give users the ability to pick their font. In which case, I think there are some fonts where like the W is going to be the same width as the letter I. So, you know, in this case, I think like this I don't know. This might be one of those fonts. This one. In any case, we can't rely on just the length of the string, because that could lie to us. I mean, you could average it and like put in a little padding, and good enough is good enough, but can I do size? I have a string in GDScript. Is there a way to determine its size in the X direction? Length can help, but the problem there is that not all letters are the same width. Is there a way to compute this? It's probably going to explain the exact same thing I just said and then tell me that no, you can't do it because it's all font aware. You got to do it based on the font. Yes, you need to use a font object. If you're working with UI text, get the font. Oh, nice. For 3D labels, you can use the Label 3D's built-in method. Ooh. Get the actual bounding box, AABB. Very cool. All right, so we duplicate our label, we set its name. Don't we set its text? Let me see here. So we duplicate from the template. We get the line. The line has text, right? There we go. Right. So this is where we add. Okay. Oof. That's the annoying thing is I don't want to. If I did this, All right, let's just do the naive version, and then I'll fix it later. The naive, because this will cause a problem. I already know one problem that's going to cause, but that's fine. So what are we saying? We need our, label dot get AAB dot size dot text, size dot x dot text. What is this? Also known as the bounding box for this visual instance 3D. Okay, so var line width. That's going to be an int. Int. There we go. So let's keep track of it on here. Yeah, there we go. So we'll do var current width. We'll initialize that to 0. So we'll do if line width is greater than current line width equals line width, and then we will call our function adjust page size. And who knows, this might happen fast enough because it would only happen at the very end of the line. Also, this is one of those things where if it is jittery and weird, it would only be on the very first page that you read. And then after that, I don't expect the size to change much. So all we're doing, we're taking small penalty of getting this in a comparison. 99.9% of the time, we're just getting an integer and doing a comparison. So that shouldn't be that shouldn't be a huge penalty, I wouldn't think. See, I had this on the book. I think it's better on the page. The problem is I want both pages to be symmetrical. So maybe it has to happen on the book. All right, let's go with that. And we're only going to update one page at a time. So on ready var book is a node 3D. Was it get parent? Self dot get parent? Is that gonna work? All right, so each page will keep track of its own size. That probably should still be true, because the book doesn't care. A page cares, and the page will change. Ooh. Ooh, 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 ooh. This is page text. It is not a page. Okay. Maybe it should be an OCR page that keeps track of its size. So we would do book dot, well, we'll do book dot. And we'll rip this out from here. It's weird. Why does it keep wanting to do that? Highlight multiple lines. There we go. Does it like that? I mean, it's not complaining, but book dot doesn't seem to know. Yeah, it's not going to know what that is. I may not be able to do this. So we have the page here. See, I think this is going to be a per line compute. But see, it's based on the label. And the label... see, this is a visual thing. So maybe I can't store it on the... I mean, I could store it on the page. I could just make it a page property, but I can't, like, compute this on that object because this object is purely data. Like, these objects are all about the data that we have. They are not about visual rendering. And the width of the bounding box is very visual. So I can't really store that. What I can do, though, is I can just say, like, var current, or I would say, we'll call it max page width. Call it an integer, and we'll set it to 0. Or we'll call it actually max line width. That way it's kind of hinting at, it's really about the lines on the page, not the page itself. So I can then do page dot equals line width. Get rid of this. And then that means we don't need this here. Jury's still out on whether this will error or not. I mean, we'll keep track of it here, but really it'll be... Now, gets a little more wrinkly, doesn't it? Because... So an individual page cares about its own size. But the book also cares about the current size. Never mind whether or not we have to shrink, right? Which would only really happen, I think, if you started a new book and then the new book was smaller than the old book. You'd be stuck on the larger size of the page. But that is a edge case that we'll worry about in the distant future. I mean, I think... see, now I'm thinking this doesn't really belong here. I think that's a mistake. My intuition is telling me. It really should be book. And then we don't have to pass anything at all. So book will have its max line width. That should be an integer, right? That will set to 0. And this can't be private. That's got to be a public method. So it gets its line width updated, and then we just tell it to adjust its size. In theory, this could be implied maybe. There's some way to like, hey, if this value changes, then we're going to do it anyway. It's fine. The only time we would change it would be right here, so just immediately call it to adjust its size. That's going to mean... Oh, no. No. This is going to be private. No. Public. But it's something that I may have to do like a getter or setter for it to control this better. But maybe not a big deal. So let's do that. So we'll read it, and then we'll pass it in to adjust the size. And then the book is going to get new width is an integer. I'll leave this here for now. I'm not going to delete it just yet, but this is going away. It's going to get replaced by this. And so then we can just do something like var, I don't know, I'll rewrite this later, but old width integer equals max line width. Max line width equals new width. In fact, to control this even more, here's really what we would do. This is how you do it. And this gets rid of some of those issues. We just pass that in there. And let's cut this out. Now we just let the book decide what to do with it. It's not the page's job to decide. The page shouldn't be controlling that. The book decides whether or not pages need to get resized. This is smart. Okay, this is what I want. So now the book is the one to control these things. So this is what's getting passed in, the new width. Now this is a private value. So if is greater than line width, and we'll do self here just to be more explicit, we will return. So that's our short circuit. And we'll do self dot, get rid of the pass. Great, now the book has all control. This doesn't have to care what it does. All it has to do is pass in that value every time. And most of the time, it'll just come in here real quick and short circuit. Just be like, nope. Most of the time, do nothing. But then that also means then that both the left page and the right page can independently call up to the book to adjust this. Again, the first time you open the book, this will get adjusted, but most of the time after that, it won't be. So most of the time, this shouldn't matter. So then we take the old value, new value, fine. We're doing addition here. Well, see, now we know it's a bigger number. Hey, maybe I do keep this function, just for the heck of it. So then we would just do something like var expansion amount. Call it an integer for now. Equals self dot minus new width. Actually, that's wrong. Since we're only doing it, we're only getting to this line when we're increasing the page size. So we subtract them out to get the expansion amount. Now we don't care about old width or anything like that. Now we are free to update the new value. We have our expansion amount. And then we can call adjust boxes by expansion amount. Interesting that it's not complaining. Probably we'll get a warning saying, hey, integer, float, blah, blah, blah. So we get our page mesh. What is our size here? See, that's, okay, it should be a float. Let's just make it a float. because this is a float. Like, I don't want to be converting this to an integer and then taking a float, adding an integer. It's probably fine, but it might litter the logs with errors. This should be okay. I might get a warning about this line saying, hey, you're doing like integer math. You know what? Let's just treat that as a float too. Actually, that's a good question, because this might be... It is a float. Yeah, it's a vector3.x. And you can see right there, it's a float. So this coming in, the new width, the width of the line would be a float. And then we'll just adjust based on that. And we would do it as text is added. Now the issue is, this is already going to break, and watch, we'll make the book will probably explode and become very big. Yeah. Oh no, it keeps getting bigger. That's a problem. Okay. I can add log statements to find out about this too. I see a couple of issues, but I mean, we're just going to pass it in. So now I can just do all my logic here. So I can say, and actually, where do I do this? Here, you can have a logger as well. Everybody gets a logger. So I can do logger, do current size, plus space new size, plus new width. You know, Godot, you could just know that this needs to be a string and handle it when you do string addition. Somehow? I don't know. All right, let's kill that. Ooh. Right, well, one of our problems is this needs to be a float. Let's just run it again now. Be consistent. Okay, we'll kill that real quick. Now, interesting that I got double logs here. Shouldn't the book have been... Interesting. Why would that have happened? They both should have been calling the same parent. They should have the same instance of book. Let's run that again. Let it run for a second. So expansion happens, but it shouldn't be happening anymore. But yet it does. So what's going on here? We ended up calling it just these times. So interesting. What if I... reparent, duplicate. Oh, so what if I did delete? And what if I do, if I duplicate? That's interesting. Now I wonder if now this will work. And I wonder if that'll affect the logs at all. Well, the one mistake I made was, we'll go to 3D. And now we'll go to scripting, and now let's run it. Still got this like duplication thing going on. Now I know the one issue again is we're not initializing this to the right value. So. Well, for one thing, oh yeah, how do I know it's, maybe I don't care about max line width. What if it is the page mesh size, right? Yeah, okay. Let's pull that out. Let's bring that up here. We'll do var on ready. The mesh is the page. What if we did that? And then we don't need this. Now let's try it. That worked. Interesting. This didn't get bumped over, so I still have that same problem, which is hilarious. Right, we don't need to keep track of the line size because we're already keeping track of it in that we already have our mesh size. That is the tracker. So if mesh size, I don't know. Well, let's do a var padding int equals, I don't know. What is this going to be? I don't know, 1. So, I don't see us expanding it at all. I don't think we... Alright, let's just clear that. Also, did we get any warnings? Something it didn't like. This integer division's always been there, right? OCR manager, yeah, that's fine. That's always been there. Declared, never used, yeah, fine. That's all fine. So we'll do our padding. I'll keep this log statement like this for now. So we'll do this. Subtract them out. Let me think here. So we basically want to say, like, look, whatever the new width is, like, remove what we already have. But see, this padding then is always just going to be... Yeah, I don't think I need to do that. I think we're just saying, like, look... No, because this... If this is the same size, like, this width represents the text. Because this is the width of the text, this is the width of the box, but this includes text plus padding. So we basically need to say, like, take the new text, subtract out the current size, add back some padding. And that would be the expansion amount. I think. That seemed to work. Okay, I think we do a moment of truth now. I should try this on a book and see how it goes. To do this, we should hide this book we put here, which I'm going to delete this from here eventually. And, you know, it's always good every once in a while to test regardless. Let's get the headset set up and see how this is going to look. And for this, I will get permissions ready to go. I think this is the book that I was having problems with. It'll probably expand too much, but that's okay. About done with coffee, about ready to switch to water. First Android build of the day always takes too long, so this is a good moment to get my bearings, take a sip of water. I'm confident this will work. It probably just need a couple of tweaks, and then I think we can move on. I think this is going to do what I needed to do. And as soon as I launch the app, I'll also do some screen sharing so you can see as well. All right, there we go. Hit the permissions. And then just do headset on. It's launching. Okay, let me Get screen sharing going. Looks like the logs are connected, which is nice. I think I finally figured out the setting to like make sure those always stick around. Let's do devices and not connected. What do you mean not connected? Come on, Meta. Why are you not working? All right, well, let me just test this real quick. Sad that I can't show this to you. Is this not working? Sometimes it does this, I've noticed. Oh, see, now it's like frozen. Darn it. Okay, I think I gotta reboot the headset. I've seen this happen before where it just like kind of... Oh, yeah. Wow, I can't even... Can I use a controller? Like, I can't... Wow, the headset's kind of a... Controller update in progress. See, I haven't used the headset in a day or so. I wonder if it's in the middle of doing a thing. Alright, let's give this a second. How do I... Can I click it with this button? There we go. Let's cancel that. Do I have finger controls back, or do I have any controls back? Here we go. Let's force quit. Whoa. And now let's relaunch. And now maybe Meta will connect again. No. Interesting. All right, I'll have to figure that out. Let's see if this works now. It is not working. Why is that? Let me just restart the headset. Okay. Maybe that's the issue. And while that's restarting, let me kill this and relaunch it. Now, see, now it has the green icon there. I think it, now that I killed it. I think it just needed a good kick in the butt. Yeah, okay, now I can cast. Let me... Let's just resend it to the device. It'll be faster this time. Interesting. It says it's active, but it says I can't cast. Enable air link to cast, but I already had that. Interesting. All right, come on. Finish up. All right, permissions. Headset on. Oh, great. Welcome home. Yeah, thanks. Manage Windows. Thanks, Meta. Launch my app for me, please. Thank you. All right, is this... And I still can't cast. What's going on here? Why can't I cast? Okay, maybe I got a new version of the OS or something. Okay, but at least... Hold on. Let me figure this out. Settings. See physical surroundings, remote desktop, casting. Live stream app, interesting. So I got mobile. Wait, this said what? Enable AirLink. All right, well that's casting. Casting I don't think I want. I think I want AirLink. Let's go to settings. Device, oh no, link. Okay, I definitely have AirLink on. Alright, well, sorry. Hopefully they'll be working another time. Let me see if the app is actually working now. Something's not working. Here, let me quit that app. Okay. Let me go to library, unknown sources. Now I'm just like having trouble launching my app at all. I mean, like it launches, but then it's like immediately frozen. It says it's working. Oh, here we go. All right. And you'll just have to take my word for it if it's working or not. Okay, well, I forgot to... I've lost my book. I think it worked though. I think it resized. Hold on. Oh, see, it hidden showed both? Let me delete this. Maybe it's getting confused in some way. And let's try that again. I think it kind of worked, but hard for me to know. And while I'm at it, Meta, you can go away. You say I can cast, and yet you say I can't. I don't know what's going on. Whatever. I give up on that. I'll try to get that working again later. Maybe they changed something. Disappointing. Alright, permissions. Again, once I confirm that it's doing what I want it to do. In fact, what I could probably do then is set the default size of the book to be smaller so that any book you open, you know, starts at like reasonably small and then goes from there. Something crashed. Hold on. Whoa, okay. Attempted to call function adjust. Okay, good. So at least we're getting good errors. So attempted to call adjust boxes. Oh, from main. Is this from main? Yeah, oops. Don't want to be doing that. That shouldn't be happening anymore. Instead, it should be happening from page, right? Yeah. Page calls up the book. Book does its thing. Hold on 1 second. I'll be right back while this runs. All right, so that worked. Now let's just do permissions. And let's see how the headset looks. Hopefully that bug's gone and there aren't any others. Yeah, Meta changed something and now all the apps load a little bit differently. Yeah, see, I think I'd have to like kill it and then quit the app and then relaunch it and then it'll work. Something new and weird's happening there. See now, yeah, now it's working. You can see in the logs there that it's picking up new stuff. Okay, let's see if this works. Nope, error. Invalid assignment of property or key visible with property of Boolean on base. That's on main. Huh? So the book. Oh, right. Because for testing locally, I did a new book, different type of book. Oh wait, sorry, wrong one. Right. Right. Let me force stop just to make sure. Okay, this is starting to make sense. Work through the errors one at a time. Again, I'm confident this is going to work. I just might have to set the padding a little bit. Like adjust the padding. It probably, I think I've the padding set to 1 or something. It probably needs to be like 0.25 or something like that. And then initialize the book size to be smaller. Wait, what? Did that go just super fast and I didn't notice it? Here, I'll try one more time. Come on, Meta. You guys should be working. In fact, let me try like unplugging and plugging it back in. Maybe that'll work. But let me finish the deployment. I'll do the permissions and then I'll unplug it and plug it back in and see what it does. Okay, so it's on there. Permissions, unplugged, plug it back in. Still says I can't cast, but Oh, now all of a sudden that's different. Hold on, quit. Whoa. Oh. I just saw a message about link, and now it's... Hold on, let me... So, controls... See, it says like link is there, but it doesn't... Okay, casting... Ugh. Alright, whatever. Again, we'll figure you out later. Alright. Let's launch the app. I think I lost debugging, so I'm not going to be able to see if there's an error. I mean, at least I'll be able to see if there's an error. And then I'll have to probably deploy it at least one more time. Alright, let's see. See if at least it gets further this time. It's processing, and let's see. Yeah, I think it's doing exactly what I wanted it to do. But I do see one problem. The book is like constantly growing, like ever so slightly, little by little. And I think I know exactly why that would be. I broke a couple things, clearly. So, one thing I broke is this is page number 1 now. Because I kept deleting and re-adding those. So let's fix that, because they're supposed to be 2 separate pages. So that's one issue. The next issue is... Yeah, so this. Let's do greater than or equal to. And I'll wrap these in parens just to be safe. So we're basically saying get the size, subtract out our padding, and we should expect that that is greater than or equal to the width that we're getting. See, if they were equal, we would end up adding a little bit of padding. That might be the bug right there. And then I might as well do this. I mean, not that it matters to do parens here, because it's just subtraction and addition. But basically saying... See, this is minus padding. Yeah, let me do it this way. Plus padding, right? So we add the padding to it. So we take our new width. So let's say new width is 10. And this is 0. It's not greater than or equal, so 10 plus 1 is 11. Minus 0, so we set it to 11. Next time around, let's say it comes in again. It's 10 again. And this is 10. Sorry, this will be 11. So this is now 11. Minus 1 is 10. They're both going to be equal to each other, so it should be 10. Goes away. Now let's say this is now 11. This is 11, right? But we subtract out the padding, so we get 10. But this is 11. So instead, we do 11 plus 1 is 12. 12 minus 11 is 1, so we expand by 1. And that would be the scenario of the things just got slightly bigger. All right, I think that'll work. I think that's the issue. I think it was this greater than or equal to was the problem. Okay, and then both pages had the same text. Let me confirm that this works with both. Yeah, let's run this again. And then again, I think the padding was slightly too much. I think actually it's just 0.5 instead of 1, I think is the padding. And then I might actually be done. Well, and the other thing I want to do is make the book slightly smaller by default. And I probably should do the same thing with the Y offset. Yeah. All right, let's do our permissions, and let me try this again. Okay, again, I think it's going to launch the app, but the app's not going to work for some reason, so I'm going to have to kill it and relaunch it. It's super annoying. Yeah. No, actually, it did seem to work that time. Okay, cool. So I didn't have to relaunch it. Let's see if it processes. Come on. My lighting in here isn't as bright as it could be. I have noticed that dim lighting kind of causes a lot of problems. All right, let's see. Here, I'll expand that so you can see more. It's processing, and there we go. Cool. So now we got page 1 coming in. Things got wider. See, it's still growing. It's still getting... No, you know what? Actually, I think that was just because that line was bigger. No, it's doing what it's supposed to do. Nice. Now, is it going to do it page 2? That's the question. Whoa, okay. Oh, it definitely works. That's cool. That's really cool, actually. Yeah, because it accidentally interpreted a line as a title, which it does sometimes. It's a bug I gotta fix. And so it made the line super long, but it actually expanded exactly the way it was supposed to. Yeah, it's great. That's sweet. Okay, so that actually works how it's supposed to. Padding 0.5. In fact, padding probably should be a float anyway. This log statement we can get rid of. That we can get rid of. I'll keep this as its own line, just in case I need to mess with that later. All these are relative, very cool. And I'll probably push this up right now. I could export this and make it a configuration, but not needed. Yeah. Okay, so I can push this up right now. Let me do that before I mess with anything else. So add files.sh is my little, since there's so many specific things I want to add and other things I don't want to add. X expansion works well. Woot. All right. Git push origin dynamic resizing. Cool. So this is going to be done today. In fact, I think this will be the last thing I do. Yeah, so this will be the last thing I do. I'll do this for a little bit longer. Let me double check on my timing, make sure I'm good. I don't have any other commitments. Not for a bit. Cool. So I'll finish this up, and this will be the last thing I do today. And then after this, we're going to move on to sentiment analysis. So we're going to start doing sentiment from the text. Or right now I'm doing sentiment analysis, but it's very ham-fisted. So I'll probably move on to something a little fancier. Think of a proper structure for it. And start doing it with music. So I have a bunch of different music for different moods. Right now the music folder has like 2 little placeholders in it, but I'll start building that out in a real way. And yes, at least start layering in good sounds based on things. So that'll be fun. And that'll be quick too. That won't take very long to figure out. Well, maybe the sentiment analysis might be a little long. But getting all the music in and dynamically selecting it, I think that'll be a fun little architecture exercise. In fact, today was more fun than I thought it would be. Okay, so here's what I want to do. Let's go to 3D. Let's do our 2 pages. Again, these are the same thing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete this. And let's go our page 1. Instead of 7, so instead of 4.25, let's go 3. Oops. Why is that? Does that not have a... If I do 1... Why is that size still like that? Oh, maybe this is why. Like I had to do 0.1, because it's scaled at 0.1. That might be the reason why that other thing had to be 0.1. What's going on here? If I do 4, that's fine. 3.5. 3.75. Fine, I'll do 4. And for this, I'll do 6. What is going on there? Why is that? Trying to think. Is that like the collision for it? But how does that... Okay, what if I did... Let's experiment here. Let's do 3 and 4. See, why does it have that bigger box? So the mesh inside, so okay, that tells me that I'm confused now. That its size is not the same. Like the size of the mesh instance 3D, that should be this. All right, you know what? I don't want to mess with this. Fine. Let's just undo it. It's fine. Most of the time, this is the size I want anyway. And I think for small books, this works well. Maybe I'll mess with it later if it ends up being an issue. Also, what I probably need to do anyway is handle making things smaller. The other thing I could do is probably for the Y, we now have our Y, right? So the page has its current Y location. Interesting. Let's pass that into we'll do self dot current Y location. And we'll do new height. Float. New height. So when we do that, yeah, we set our label position to that. And then we move the Y position down. Move down a little in prep. Okay, so fine. I'm calling this before I do that. So that's fine. So then what I should do, I don't think this has been a problem. All right, so here's what I can do. I can do less than, and instead of the short circuit return, why did it do that? Why is it doing that? Here we go. Tab that over. And then we'll do if mesh dot size dot y plus padding is less than new height. In theory, this should just work. We'll do this as X expansion amount. We'll call it adjust width. We'll do Y. By the way, we're going to do what here? New height. So we can do these separately. Width and height can be different. Padding will keep the same. We'll do Y. And we'll do Y. And we'll do adjust height. And it's possible these things will end up being the same thing, but all right, so we have it, its expansion amount. So we'll set the Y to that. This might go weird. Let's just try it. And then I think to test this, I'm gonna have to do the annoying thing I didn't want to do, which is come in here. Let's do 4. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. Let's go crazy. Let's go 2. Make it super skinny, and hopefully we'll see it pop out. And that box not being correct, I don't know. That concerns me from a purist standpoint of me understanding the engine and making sure I'm doing things correctly. But there's no hitboxes, there's none of that, so I don't necessarily care. I shouldn't have to care. Oh, you know, maybe that's the text size. Something tells me the text is going to be floating off in midair right now. Well, either way, we'll find out. All right, there we go. The permissions. Headset on. Okay, is this going to work now, or am I going to have to... Yeah, okay. Working. I think it's working. Yeah. Hold on. There we go. It's processing. Let's see what it does. And... text is off as I expected. But it's expanding as it should. In the X direction. What about the Y? So as it gets longer, as we fill out more of the page, what's going to happen? Is it going to get taller? Hold on, let's see. We're almost there. A little more text, and then it should... No, it's not. This is quite funny to look at, but I wish I could show it, but I think it's not because, I mean, there's a number of reasons why it could be. Let's give it a few more seconds, see what it does. I guess it's just done with the text. That's probably the last chunk. Yeah, he was looking to scan new text. All right, so that didn't go as planned. I wonder if it is... if it's that, and then I resize. But see, now I can't. So if I do this and I go 4, see, this one's position doesn't matter. That container doesn't matter. Y is, okay, well maybe it is, let's do this. Maybe we go 4 here. Then maybe I do this and I bring it straight down to there. And then, yeah. Now it looks better. Okay. Again, these things are kind of detached from each other. So let's do this. Let's do 3 and 4. Let's try that. We'll do, or I can do, what is it, control click? We'll do like there. We'll do like there. We'll do like there. Okay, so that should be even. And let me run this one more time. The only issue is going to be... Oh, yeah, why isn't that running? Again, I'm going to stop in a minute, but the only issue is going to be right now, well, I mean, two issues. One, it's going to pop. So anytime we adjust the size, the size is going to adjust immediately, which means if you're in the middle of reading, things are going to move around on you, which is going to be kind of annoying. So I probably need to do it slowly. And I probably need to do it in a way... I'll have to experiment with it. But I might have to do it in a way where things like grow to the right and down instead of growing up. And then I can like slowly move stuff. I don't know. I'll have thoughts about that. How do I not disrupt the reading experience? Again, this probably should only be on the first page. And it should only happen in the first line or two. At least for the X anyway. For the Y, when we get down to the bottom of the page, it'll happen more quickly. Well, let's find out. Let's give this one more try, and I think one way or another I'm going to stop here. Okay, let's see here. All right, it's processing. Let's see what craziness this looks like. Okay, so far so good. It's doing everything I expected it to. It did start with the book quite small. Of course, the position of things isn't great, but let's give it time. When we bump down the page size, it's probably not going to look right. 0.5 is still a little bit too much. I'll probably go a little skinnier. But it is not doing it. So something's wrong there. Now the text is just running off the page. So this actually worked pretty well. Okay, so now I know this box represents the size of everything that's contained in it. So that is, in this case, the mesh instance as well as the location of this label 3D. So if something is out of bounds, it's just going to make the box look bigger. And that's the indication that something is off in no man's land. Which, you know, something in the case of like this container doesn't matter. Like, it's just a container. Probably its location probably doesn't matter. But you probably do want things visually to at least show up collected together, if for no other reason than if things get out of sync, you want to visually know that you've screwed something up. All right, let's go to script here. One thing is I'll go with 0.25 there. We'll cut it in half again. See how that looks. And then adjusting height. So we're basically saying if the current height plus the padding, it's probably got to be the other way. Height's weird. Actually, it's probably going to be minus, if I had to guess, because we're going in the negative. So when we start from top to bottom, I mean, you can even see it here. We're adding negative numbers to the location. We're starting at 0 and we're growing in the negative direction. So that means like -10 minus 1, so we're -11. If that's greater than this number, because this number is even smaller than that number, then we got to do the new height minus plus, And that's going to be our expansion amount. So this is going to have to be minus plus. Fun. All right, fine. I said I was done. One more try. If this doesn't work, I'm definitely, one way or another, I'm definitely done after this. Thank you for those hanging out with me. Not a chatty group today, but I'm happy to have company regardless. Hopefully this was educational or at least fun and entertaining, either way. Of course, my kid's off from school and playing Silksong, so I am super jealous. But I'll join them so shortly. Okay. Permissions on, headset on, app launching. All right, there we go, app's up, ready to scan. All right, we're processing. Give you better logs to read while I do this. There we go, the book's super tiny, and now everything got bigger, and now everything's inverted. Well, that's crazy. Huh. Well, on that cliffhanger, I think I'll stop here. Let's force stop. I think I'll just do the same thing I had to do before, which is go into 3D here and like, how do I make it taller? I think I did actually, like, how do I make it taller in that direction? So if I do just one of these pages, like make it taller and move it down, like what does that look like? And so chances are, yeah, like this might still have to, like the size might still be positive, but the position is negative. I don't know. Or like, yeah. I don't know. Anyway. Fun hanging out with you all. Probably going to stream on Wednesday, so for those of you who want to hang out Wednesday morning, I will talk to you later.